Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here.
Welcome to the Love Pod, everyone. I'm your host, Nathaniel. I'm so pleased to welcome a very special guest today, Angelika Vetter, who is a multi-talented, multi-dimensional, wonderful human who I had the experience, the joyful experience of meeting first on school, specifically in the Wild West that is Goosify. And we've had an interesting encounters. Angelika was very graciously spent a lot of time with me when I crazily did my 42-hour live marathon. And we talked about some really beautiful, deep things. And Angelika, you're a mother of three, and you have some very beautiful experiences from your parents. I know you talked so fondly of them when we had the opportunity to gather. And I know you want to talk today about education and children. And you just got off the last leg of the world tour. You just got back from Antarctica. You're now in São Paulo, I believe. So I'd love for you to just introduce yourself, tell our listeners who you are, and yeah, great having you on the show.
Thank you very much, Nathaniel. I would like to first apologize for me doing this podcast episode on my bed in a hotel in São Paulo, Brazil. But it's the only place where I have proper internet. So I had to stay here, even if they have some kind of other rooms. But so that's why I just like doing comfortable on my bed here. So it's my last night before I head back to Europe. As you already said, I am a mom of three, which I'm very proud of. And and I had wonderful parents. Sadly, both are passed already into the light. But I love my children very much. That's like maybe a cancer thing, you know. I was like born in a small town in a triangle, like the Bermuda Triangle of the DACH area, which is like Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. So I have like 2 minutes to Switzerland from my birthplace and 10 minutes to Germany. So that's like a kind of we have different cultures there, and I grew up there in a time where everything was already still different, you know. I just on the 17th of this month, my fire horse year started. So I'm a born fire horse. That means I just come out of my second Saturn return, which was a very, very difficult experience to handle. So Antarctica was a kind of like rebirth thing. And the 17th was also the sun eclipse day. So it's a very, very special new beginning for me. And Antarctica was just like to finish up this difficult last year and to like do a rebirth kind of thing, you know. It felt a little bit like that, really, especially during that crazy piece of the Drake passage. Do you want me to tell a little bit about that?
Feel free to share. I'm sure people are curious about the whole experience. Yeah, you're welcome to share anything. We could talk about anything, Angelika.
Yeah, okay. So I had to do 3 flights to get to Ushuaia. Ushuaia is the most southern town of the world. It's called the end of the world. So I went from Zurich to Sao Paulo, Brazil, from there to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and from there to Ushuaia. And I stayed there for 2 nights. And in a hotel with a hot tub, and Ushuaia has like similar to New Zealand, which I love very much. It has a lot of weather. It's like they have summer right now, and it's a beautiful, charming little town, like 80,000 inhabitants. It has flowers and wildflowers all over the place, and lots of playgrounds, and all people are walking with dogs. It feels very safe, and it has all these kind of different historic buildings. You know, you can just see all the interesting historic like development of the town, from being like I don't know whale catching area to like expedition Amundsen and all these guys went from there to the South Pole So it's a very interesting town. One of the things that I need to do more research about that. There is a kind of like, they have some, I don't know how to really tell it. It looks like aliens. They have a culture that they have obviously connected to some kind of aliens. I really need to research that a little bit closer. Very interesting. So it's a point on Earth that has like special energy. And from there, the cruise ships go on, and also the expedition ships. And so we had this 10-day trip. 2 days Drake's Passage, a very rough part of the ocean, and we got a huge storm caught in it on the second day. And when I looked out of the window of my cabin, I saw just water, and even the water came through the door. So the whole carpet was just wet from like, I don't know how much water just came through the closed doors. So it felt really scary. I was seasick in my bed, just trying to stay horizontal, not eating much, not drinking, not eating, just green apples for anybody who wants to go there. Green apples is the best, and ginger for seasickness. So passage goes 2 days, and the storm had 77 knots, which is very like close to a hurricane. And most people just cried and just said they want to go home. They want to go home. It was a really difficult day, but we made it. And after that, it's like entering, I don't know, some kind of part of the paradise, right? It's like, if you look, the sea is calm after that, and you see blasts of the whales. Anywhere you look, every few minutes you see whales, just like the usually just the blast and a little bit of the back, and that kind of like, it's so much nature, and it's so pure, and so feels like untouched and untouchable. And I really asked myself if we even should be there. And I think no. I think this Drake's Passage, I mean, I said we build better ships to just make it through, you know, but I think we should leave some parts of our Earth just untouched, and leave the animals there like safe and protected from our all what we still are. Like, there's so much unconsciousness, and on this expedition ship, I felt it so deeply. It was so hard for me to see this. I'm vegetarian and much more turning into vegan already. So seeing all these people with loaded plates of meat and fish, and watching the whales, it just felt like, don't you see that's not like, you know, it's not right. I can't say it's just wrong, you know. And complaining about the whale hunters and what they did. And to me, I said this cruise ship is the same, you know, all these are the same. So shouldn't we just, a question here, shouldn't we not just leave parts of the Earth simply untouched by our unconscious presence? And, you know, I asked my roommate what she thinks about it, and she said, well, we can help these animals if they are in need. And I thought about that one day, and after that day, I asked her, what do you think if you would be in need of help, and somebody offers you that help, and this somebody killed your brothers and sisters, would you feel like this person knows how to help you? And I think she was thinking about that, you know. It feels like, you know, we maybe not killing whales. Well, some people still do, you know. And it's mostly these indigenous folks that are allowed because of their culture. But still, you know, I feel like, I mean, you know much about how I think about consciousness really is rising, especially since like pandemic started, you know. These years are what one of my most important mentors, Stephen Gilligan, once said, the good and the bad is separating like with a rubber band, and the point when it breaks, and then consciousness of all humanity will go to the next level, and that's we are in that right now. I can feel, but still there are still so many different about like regarding consciousness on this planet, that I decided to really go and search the places, like the seeds that are already sprouting on places on this planet where consciousness is already higher, not on a cruise or expedition ship, not for there. And I mentioned it in the feedback. They give this feedback to two sides on what you liked, and they ask, would you recommend this trip to somebody? You can do from 1 to 9. And I said 1. And I said, why? Because it's not different than the whale hunters. If you are telling, you are protecting, and what kind of environmental friendly you are, and what kind of sustainable you are, and special and different than all the other cruise ships, and then you are having like tons of meat and fish on a plate. Yeah, that's on the buffet. That's just what I thought of it. But Antarctica itself, it's one of the most stunning places I have ever been. And I'm living nomadic since 10 years. I visited somehow 60 countries for longer or shorter. But it's really, really special. So many animals, and the penguins, and it's just the seals. It's like seeing them, and these icebergs, like the colors and the form, the glaciers and the water and the vast mountains covered with snow and ice, so big, and so you feel so like I just felt I want to protect this. I want to be what we are meant to be, which I think we are meant to be. We should protect
stewards
from a place of consciousness, which I don't say I'm much like, I know I was like that 7 years ago, even if I passed since 40 years, and working on it, and having all these memories since many years about my life in Lemuria, my life in Atlantis, my life on Mars, but still, I'm so much still on my way. So I understand the differences, but it really made me wanting to find these places where the seeds are already a little bit.
Certainly consciousness is rising on our planet. And I think you're a little neurodivergent like me, Angelika, talking about Lemuria and Atlantis and Mars right at the end of an Antarctic trip. But it's interesting because a lot of our civilization is awakening to the remembrance of how interconnected we are with the planet. And I really love how you talk about that evocation of wanting to protect the sacredness of the pristine nature that you were witnessing. I do believe that is our role as human beings, to steward Mother Earth. And the more we become awakened and enlightened, I think our natural gifts are predisposed to wanting to contribute. So I appreciate that we were talking before the show how you just leap into things. You didn't have a preconceived notion of what Antarctica would be, so you just dive into the experiential aspect of it. And I also, since I've known you, we got to know each other on a very, what I call a cosmedian footprint. I entering into Goosify just allowed me to be very comedic and and just have some really good jokes. But I got to know you deeper in the sense of the kind of work that you've done, helping people in their own awakening process, helping people to raise their consciousness. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that journey has been for you? I know you've spoken really fondly of your parents and how you grew up with such a strong foundation of being conscious, and now you've also mentioned with your children how you share that with them. And I would love to get more of a sense of you and the work that you do.
Yeah, okay. So I'll start with my parents. I was very lucky. My parents had both birthday on the 25th of January, few years apart, but on the same day. So various people. And my dad was born in 1927. So usually that kind of dad was not interested in his children at all. My mom told me always, like all the neighbors, they talk to their children the first time or they look at them the first time when they are in school already. But my dad was completely different. He did everything, like he bathed us on Saturday all in the same bathtub, and he brushed our girls' hair, and he and even when my little sister came on the 24th of December, nobody could help him, and he did everything, like changing diapers, which were not like the today's diapers, they were like different, and he fed us with, like my brother was 1 year old, so he did everything, like giving the milk, the bottle, and when he came from work at 5 o'clock every day, he took us to play, and he took us out in where he had a farmland where he grew our own food. So I know how that connection to earth is like, and he was like carpenter, I think, like the one who make the roof of a house with wood. I don't know if like it's the right word, but so I grew up with a very like natural environment where we had really good, like organic, really that tasted even organic, which you don't get today, even if you buy organic. But I was lucky, and my mom, she was like, she would have, I would have been a Brazilian girl, because my grandfather, he smelled the war coming and wanted to and bring his back then two girls to Brazil and start a new life without war there. But on the day he wanted to sell everything and sign a contract, or close before, Hitler marched into Austria, so he couldn't go. He was in the war, and he was in Siberia, and he came back a little bit different. But what my mom learned in that time, we had refugees in the house. Back then in my grandma's house, it was always everybody's the same. So my parents, my dad was a little bit more like, the Turkish people who come to, like, we had this kind of industry in Lustenau, my birth town, where we had all these guest workers from like different areas. So my dad was not like looking at them like the same, but he was seeing, for example, the how do you say, governor of the town, or the mayor of the town, he saw him as like eye to eye. And when he one day got a letter that he should do something, he marched into his office and threw the letter on the table and said, just, asshole, you stupid idiot, you don't know how to work properly. Sorry for that, Mike. But
that's okay.
And he said, no, I'm not doing this. I sometimes thought how he would have acted in the pandemic time, Felt like everybody is like, somebody you talk to eye to eye. Nobody's beyond or above the other. That's how it is. And my mom was like friendly to all these Turkish workers that we were surrounded with, but the children could not play in anybody's garden except ours, So I grew up with parents who had similar perspectives on, we humans are nobody's better or worse than the other. So that was my upbringing. And from one of my first thoughts, I guess, it was something is clearly wrong here. And that thought guided me to really search. I learned 20 professions and studied, I don't know how many topics, did my thesis in educational science about self-responsible education, learned different therapeutic approaches, but all was like, I think, the search for what is wrong here. What is wrong here? That feeling was so deep-rooted in myself. Something is wrong here. So I found myself crying under the hiding under a blanket if they cut the grass outside and the flower. You know? I felt like this deep connection of the protection of nature and earth from like my whole life through. So that was like the beginning of my journey. And when I was 20, I became a mom the first time. Was at home, had my my permaculture garden, and almost like self-sufficient with our food. And still, I was searching, you know, searching. And my first profession was lithographer. That was like a handcraft back then. But it disappeared when I was like at home for that couple of years. So I decided to learn something new, and something like it should have to do with people, with development, with potential. I was just wondering what our potential truly is, because I felt always this kind of being different inside of me. You know, I had like rituals as a child that I just did out of like, I don't know where they came from, you know, all these kind of things. And I couldn't make my mind wrap around it, you know, I didn't understand it. And I was, I had also very difficult experiences that shaped me for sure, especially with the medical system, with authorities, with like experiences with rape. And I think it's because my life force is very strong, you know. Most of the time when I talk to people, they say, you seem to be living many lives at once. And it feels like that to me too sometimes, you know. I have this very, very high energy life force. And I think there are many forces that want to dim that, because it makes people feel uncomfortable, you know. I was thrown out of a mastermind because I made the person feel uncomfortable, like things like that, you know, happens all the time, you know, in school, because I just did not fit in. So that was like my way. And then I started with NLP, actually, with the power principle. Anthony Robbins was my first one. And then I learned, started with hypnosis. Milton Erickson was one of my things where I felt really, this is something valuable. This like speaks to my soul. This kind of, where it's about, especially as Stephen Gilligan has developed the approach, it's about the field and the field mind and the archetypal energy. So from all the different approaches I learned, the generative trance work of Stephen Gilligan and Auda Soma, and what I learned from my soul whisperer mentor was the most profound, that brought me to this point. So I was doing different kinds of, I worked with children, I worked with couples, I worked on health issues like allergies and stuff like that. And then with sports people, with especially ice hockey teams, horse tournament riders, and soccer players, which I like. With the ice hockey, I had 100% championship maker quote. So every team I coached won the title. So I was just trying to understand this human potential, and not just mine, just to pass it on. Later back then, I did like, I was in sales. So my money came from sales, especially because there are two professions. One is waitress and bar girl, which I was too before, and then in sales, because you earn the same amount as a woman and a man. It's just like percentage, you know, and I liked that, because I felt I should not get less because I am a woman, which is in all other professions case, you know. So I made my money like that, and had this intense hobby. I was as a house worker, street worker, childcare developer. Like I did so many different things, you know. But there was a time in 2010 where my youngest daughter is born in 2005, right before I could finish my thesis in educational science. And I split with her dad right after she was born, because he could not change into family. I was back then, before I got pregnant, I was like drinking and smoking 80 cigarettes a day. So I was really in a kind of like addiction mode. In addiction mode. And lucky, Irina came and saved me from that, because I quit at the moment I knew I was pregnant. And I waited until she was born to see if her dad can like be a family man, which he could not. So I split and raised her as a single mom. But when she was 3, I guess, about 3, 2.5, right after I stopped breastfeeding. Oh, yeah, she was a home birth with 5 kilograms. Really nice experience. Yeah, you know about that, right?
Yeah, I do.
This home birth.
Yeah.
But it was very important experience to me. But after then, I had a boyfriend, and I loved him a lot. It felt like a kind of soulmate. And when he broke up with me, I fell in a very, very deep hole. I spent 9 months in at a lake in the woods with Irina and me, just us, and tried to get out of that state. And all my savings were like gone after that. So I had to find a way to start again. So like a rebirth again. And 9 months, I spent 9 months there, which is very interesting, you know, how life works. You know, it's just a kind of like 9 months is a rebirth thing. And then I asked myself, how can I double my income? Because we had noodles for 6 weeks with olive oil and nothing else. So I had to think of something. And I found that it's like more easy than I thought. It's just like a few areas that you have to check. And from that point on, I try to show my like knowledge about that, about how to build a business. My business first, I wanted to show that to others too. First to women, but I'm not speaking woman language. I speak male language. I don't know why. It's just like I speak to women like I would speak in Chinese. It looks like that, you know. And when I'm speaking, what I'm talking about, they look at me like, what is she talking? It feels like, you know, somebody's talking to you and you don't understand, and you see that they don't understand you. So it's difficult. And then my mentor, my soul whisperer mentor, helped me to see that I can work better with male business owners, which I'm doing since then. And that's like 10 years now, I would say. I started Mastermind 10 years ago.
That's wonderful, Angelika. Well, you certainly have had such a colorful career. And, you know, I've heard many times that souls that have larger missions or old souls who I can relate to you. Like I felt the same kind, well, I don't know if the same, but I felt what you described was I could relate to in a strong way about looking at how we were treating the land growing up and feeling like something is wrong here with how humans are. And I feel like there are many old souls who are coming to the earth at this time to raise the vibrational frequency of things and to help with the remembrance of our interconnection of things. And also, you know, like, you know, what you just mentioned, you know, like our connection to our interstellar family. Like we are not this isolated world. We're part of a much larger tapestry. And for so many of us, as you were describing Antarctica, like going into these pristine, untouched places is just so foreign to most human beings. And I feel like you mentioned the pandemic too. Like I feel like we've been sold this idea that Earth is overpopulated and that there's so many human beings on Earth. And yet, for anyone who travels just a little bit and sees the vastness of the lands and the abundance that is out there, it to me is so perplexing. So I feel like, you know, your dad reminds me of my dad too. He was the kind of guy who would march into the mayor's office and when something wasn't right. And I feel like all of these preparations we go through in our own formation as characters are important because we have a unique purpose to fulfill. Can you share more about your work, like working helping people with business? Because I understand that it's very much like at a deeper level than most people would probably think when you can talk about business. You're talking about like deeper work, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about deeper work here, because I come from these two sides. One is that potential side, and one is that like just strategic mind oriented side. If you want to develop a specific career for any kind of business, you need to like just do this and that. It's like the logical and energetic soul side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I put that together, which is like I just because of the difficult years that are behind, I just maintained business so that we can survive. So I'm just now starting to work again in this kind of area. But when you just spoke, a client of mine came up in my mind. He said, you should not just work with 5 to 10 clients a year. Your wisdom and your knowledge and your all that you are should be spread to many people. And that's one reason why I started school, because I thought maybe this is a way. I worked with Sam in his mastermind, that for 3 years. So I had this connection to school. I know that what Sam is doing usually is like kind of good. I don't know if it's with school really the case, because as soon as you take like GV part into your business, it's a kind of mix. You have to also work with their values. So I don't know about that. But Sam, since he's a dad, he developed, I would say, really good from that only machine, being a machine business guy, to more human, I know his wife, she's really nice. And I know his daughter, Olaria, is so cute. I saw pictures of her, and now I think they have a son now. So I think school can be, I'm not totally sure about that, but it can be a platform for this new kind of conscious type of like doing business,
Yeah.
doing business with more soul connection and connected to your higher self. And because I come from that area of potential, so I am not, I'm looking at the man, the human, and the soul plan. So my work and my tools help business owners to really connect to their soul plan. This can turn out totally different than they think. For example, I had a lawyer hiring me because he just felt like his law firm, he got it from his dad, because that's just like family, his dad said, you can become everything you want, at least as soon as it's doctor or lawyer. So he had two options, but doctor and lawyer. So he was a kind of unsure about his way and his path, and he hired me to help him gain clarity. And then it turned out totally different. I worked with him 2 years, and in that 2 years, he got the third child, took all children out of the school system, shrank down his law firm on a basic minimum, built 2 levels of co-working on top of the law firm, where he is like giving like all kinds of businesses a room where they can see over the whole town. Everybody else said, hey, you should have a penthouse there. He said, no, that should be for more than just me and my family. Should be for more people. And then he like started to do mail work, like Männerarbeit in German. So his course changed completely, But first he had to, I worked with him on being in peace with his decisions of becoming a lawyer, because you cannot use your knowledge if you are like seeing it as invaluable. You need to put all your pieces to yourself. Yeah. Another client, he was like, he just took on the family business, which he already had like for 10 years, but he had many own ideas, but he could not really handle it, how to like bring them into the business, especially because the senior, like because of the unspoken things between him and his dad, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many, we are conscious about small, like the icebergs, you know, we are conscious of a tiny piece of the puzzle, but the rest is like unconscious. It's like hidden in our like surrounding, and we need to find the pattern that we need to find who we truly are, you know. That's the point, you know. We need to find who we truly are. We are what all other things than just us, you know. We are what our parents think, what culture thinks, what school thinks, what friends think, you know. We have these layers, like in Shrek, who says like humans are like onions, you know. They have layers, and the true essence is making the best business. And when I worked with that client, you know, he was like, his woman was pregnant with the third child, but in the 4 years we worked together, he separated with that woman, found his soulmate, married again, got 2 other children, developed his business like from 300 employees to 400, making all kinds of very interesting like development areas where he like tries to find ways of like doing this new kind of tech that is really environmental friendly. You know, this knowledge is already there, but as long as we are not humble and pure enough in our hearts, it cannot be given to us, because there would be so much abuse. You know, I felt that by myself very clearly when this pandemic started. I made a regular call every morning with all my clients to bring them through the lockdown situation. You know, it was not like they didn't hire me for that. They hired me just for random, but I wanted to bring them go through this situation. And in one of these morning sessions, I made a meditation with them where it was about, what is this about? What does this mean? What is it? What's going on here? You know, what is this situation about? And the word that came into my mind was freedom. And thinking of what's the ultimate freedom. And the ultimate freedom to me is teleportation, but not like Scotty beam me up with a machine. What we have as human capacity, that's human potential. If we have all 12 DNA strands active again, we you know, all others is demanipulate or shut down through manipulation and disconnected. But if we have it again, that's some kind of natural human capacity, teleportation. Think of being able to teleport to Antarctica, just like standing there for 5 minutes and breathe it in without having to, you know, touch anything, to go there, to waste, to do whatever, you know. And I felt how far away I'm from that. I felt how far away my purity of my heart is, because if I would have the capacity now, I would have teleported in the mayor's office to give him some slaps for vaccine mandates and then jump out again. You know, I would kind of do all kind of stupid things. So my heart is not pure enough. That's why I'm on it. And I do the same with my clients. You know, the ones that are open hire me for that, others don't. You know, I just had an interesting conversation before I went to Antarctica, and the day before on the same day I left on the plane, I had to call this potential client, a building firm with a like very young boss. He had to take on the family business when he was 24. Now he is a boss since 5 years because his dad died unexpectedly, you know. And he said, well, you are too esoteric. I'm sorry, I can't work with you. And that's difficult for me to get this kind of response, to see that even young people like him, you know, in his not even 30, are not open for it yet. But some are, and those that are, they can work with me, and they get this kind of really, they find their essence. You know, if somebody wants to find their essence and their soul path and connect with their higher self and their higher vision, I may be of help.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you saying all that. It's funny, we have very similar kind of pathways because I do believe that we all like it's funny, a lot of people, our language limits us, right? Angelika, like people say, my soul, my life, but we are the soul, we are life. And when we can tap into that and really um, remember that that's always the mastermind behind everything that we are, but we have to invite it in to be the guiding force because it's never. I've thought a lot about love, right? And you know, to me, love has no opposite, but there's a lot of belief systems in life that talk about this battle between good and evil. And I'm not delusional. I do know that evil exists, but to me, the acronym that came to me is every vice imposed on life. And that could be as subtle as a judgmental thought or wanting to slap the mayor, or it could be gross, like we see, you know, the way that we treat the earth, like you talk about, like the whaling and all these things, you know, wars and all that stuff. And um, I do feel like when we are all resonant and we are all in remembrance of who we really are, those natural gifts that you talk about, whether it's teleportation, healing, instant manifestation, all of those things will naturally occur, but they're not the point. You know, the point is not to acquire skills and abilities. It's really to be, and like you said, I love how you brought it back to the purity of heart first, because yeah, what would someone do if they could teleport? They probably think, where's the closest bank? Or where's the farthest bank? You know, I'm going there and I'm gonna come back, you know. And so like I appreciate what you're saying. It's all very important. And how do you feel like this extends to community building? So you mentioned like you're looking at school and because this is part of the work that I've been guided to do is help soul alignment through community because I feel like we have a role as human beings, like we're meant to be social. We are individual, but I feel like when we come together, we're so much, you know, we're so much more there. So what is your perspective of that and specifically on school? How do you see that happening?
You may also remember that we talked about that, I think, in your marathon a little bit, because I'm not really, I didn't really make my decision clear at this point regarding that, because
Hmm.
we like this technology that we are using now, phone, laptop,
Yeah.
you know, internet. To me, it's an alien technology
Hmm.
brought to us to enslave.
Hmm.
That's the reason behind it. You know, I remember me being 11 and we got the first phone and it was a dial phone and we had a quarter of line, you know, because when the neighbor was talking, I couldn't. So, and then I remember me driving through Vienna and I saw the first person in my life talking to something on their hand, like this, you know.
Hmm.
It was the first portable phone I saw in my life that was like maybe 24, I think. Um, and then from one day to the other, there are smartphones. And then it stops. You know, there is AI, the next tool for enslavement, of course. You know, it's like, you know, everything is energy and everything is a field. And I'm the reason why I say I'm not decided completely yet is because I am very, very cautious about uh, using all this. Oh, Luciana!
You want to say
Luciana!
hi, Luciana?
Hey!
Hmm? She's
Hey!
playing hide and seek.
Yeah, I see. I see you. I see you not. I don't see you. You're gone. Hidden.
Yeah. Someone just
Hidden.
woke up from a nap and wanted to say hi.
The light is hidden. Like in the. Oh, now it's back. You're behind the,
You're such a
behind
sweetheart.
the.
I appreciate what you're saying, Angelica, and I think these are all really important conversations to have, especially, you know, thinking of our next generation coming up. This has been a paradox for me as a parent because it's like I feel like I would be doing a disservice to not include like AI literacy and things like that as I think of how she develops because I know how important that will be. But I also it would be a huge, even more of a disservice to not have her connected to nature and living life and being connected to her body. Do you think there's a way that these technologies can find more harmony? What? I know you haven't decided yet, but just exploratively.
And at the moment, I'm using it, maybe the same reason than you, to bring out, like to follow my vision, maybe, to try to reach people. But do I really need to do it like that? No, I try to really separate from tech altogether.
Yeah.
I was just taking gold and cash. Even if I am doing invoices like 33K, people paid me with gold to not be in need of using a bank account or anything. I am living tax-free because I made my permanent residence in Panama, so that's a tax-exempt system. So I really try to move out of like the system. I call it like that, even if I know it's not the system. It's like, and it's not possible to leave it completely because we are still part of. That's true. So that's why I am giving it another try with school. Like for a year, I decided to do it a year and to see how it feels like. Remember, I have to jump in to feel it. But what I'm really not quite sure is if using this is not also a statement, and it's always each decision and each action is a statement. I am agreeing, I am complying with this, even if it does harm to other animals, to other human beings. This kind of like AMF, I mean, you just need to read The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Firstenberg. All these kind of different technologies, like from radar to 1G to 2, 5, 6, 7, whatever, introduced another wave of illness to humanity. Last being all these kind of so-called viruses, which are not else. Like, I come from a terror point of view. Terror being like, there is this nice story that Tom Cohen mentioned. He said, if you would be a dolphin coming from Antarctica, dolphin biologist, and you would be called to an area where dolphins die in masses, what would you do? Would you see if they have cancer? Would you see if there is a virus going on? Or would you see if they live in poisoned water?
Yeah.
Definitely poison.
Yeah, definitely poison water.
So all these symptoms are poisons. And the electromagnetic waves that we are using right now are poisons. So I am agreeing to other human beings to be poisoned if I'm using it. That's just, and maybe I'm especially having raised Irina, who is now 20, with like no education at all. No, nothing, we did not projects or something. We did nothing. We just lived together. And if you live together, it's impossible to not learn to read and write.
Yeah.
Just have or to do math, basic math. And now, that she's now, she founded her first company 2 years ago, which is a family service where she's doing babysitting and teaching, and camps for children between 5 and 15, something. She's working also in a private school as a teacher. She's teaching math classes, and she's teaching French class. She doesn't speak French, or she was in one day when she decided that she wants to work with children. She already had a job where she could learn to be a child, how do you say, kindergarten teacher. But she said, Mom, I need to know how it feels like to be in school. Because if I want to help children and guide them and be with them, and I don't know how they feel like, I need to understand that. And I want to know if I'm capable of, because I had never them nothing,
Yeah.
And she had to discuss a few days with me, because I thought, you have already you found a profession which is so plan-led, I was always just interested in what's inside of her, what wants to come out, not what I can put. That's why she grew up like that. But she made it clear. She made her point. She's a very, very strong personality, much stronger than me, actually. which is quite something, because I told you I'm a force of nature too. but she's really strong because she learned how to think and feel for herself, and she never lost the red thread inside of her. Never. Not even in our most difficult situations where I just cried in my depression and wanted to suicide, and she was there all the time. She had very difficult situations with me. It made her what she is right now. It's like soul plan. We found what we want, and that's how it turned out. So she did in 6 months what others do in 9 years. After 6 months, the teacher said, yeah, she has enough knowledge gathered, like all the others in the same age, so we can leave her. She has it. And even today, when she's teaching math classes, in that private school, the teachers around her say, you have learned this, right? And she said, no, I have never. Because you cannot do in six months really all the 9 years.
Yeah.
It was just the same standard that all others have. Nobody. Some people are good in this area, some are in another. So that's really always still to me like, wow, what is this soul and spirit and human body and what is it capable? She looks at things and she can learn it in a whim and then teach it to others. I mean, she has to put some effort in. It's not just like that,
Sure.
But she can do that. And I think maybe using this kind of, how do you say if you're walking with sticks after a broken leg?
Like on crutches?
Yeah, on crutches. Maybe as long as we are using these crutches of internet and connecting like this and talking like this, maybe this slows us down in developing all the other capacities. Maybe it is like the tool these unled forces try to use, and do people like. There was this interesting discussion with one of the on like a walk after Antarctica, and it was about ChatGPT. And the woman said to me, well, ChatGPT gives me all the answers. I cannot afford a therapist and a psychologist. So I ask a question and it gets me answers. And I was thinking of it, and we made an example, and she said, what would you say about me? And I mentioned some like things I have seen and felt, and just gave her a kind of like, she's not my client, so I don't have any kind of real insight if somebody's not my client, but she's a little bit of a like friend, so I kind of thing I can see. So I told her that, and then she was like, okay, is this really different? I was thinking another day on it, and I know what's the difference is, because AI has no soul and it's not connected to love. So the only thing it can is analyze what already has been there. So all AI is just repetition of something. Maybe vast knowledge, but not as vast as we are capable of access. Because we have heart and soul and spirit and the connection to God itself. We have this. We are living, walking Christ consciousness in development. I mean, how the hell or the fuck or how how can you compare ChatGPT with a human being? It's just stupid. And it's not about analyzing your pattern and whatnot. It's when I remember that first time I saw Stephen Gilligan at work. I need to tell this story. Do we have time for it still?
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead.
It was in Venice, close to Venice. It was in a monastery, which turned to be a seminar place. And there was this like room, small, this very, very huge walls, and climate system was on. And there was this small, like 10-centimeter stage, and with 3 chairs. And there was Stephen Gilligan sitting there, and his translator, Charlene, and a woman who just found the day before that memories come up from childhood abuse. She never had something like that coming up. It was just that day. And then Stephen Gilligan started to work. And it felt so clearly and so deep and so profound that he's opening a door and God is sitting there on the fourth chair, invisible chair. And I could see that woman in a regression going back to that situation of the abuse. You could see her like, I know how that looks like from like some experiences, but it was like she was going through that situation again, like her hands and her whole body. But she was like, I could see that 5-year-old sitting there, going through that experience again and going through it. And then I could watch her starting to heal with God's presence. How can, it's just to me like, how can people not know that the only thing that heals ever is love, God, and that consciousness, So if we analyze pattern with our mind, and ChatGPT can do that, yes, but it's not healing, but it's about healing and it's about our potential. So all this technology, it has this kind of like question mark on it to me because of that, because maybe it's just slowing us down and just tries to get all ducks in a row, and that's what it's doing. Can we use it with human presence and with God presence and with conscious presence and with love? Can we use it like that? Yeah, maybe maybe if we would be in a developmental different state, which we are as whole humanity. As some say, one conscious human being wakes up 10,000 unconscious. So it's really makes a difference to be like on the way and to really work on that every single day, maybe even every minute or at least hour each day of us being here. That will make a difference for sure. I think these stupid technologies will depart, same as the unconscious people that don't want to higher their vibration, which is totally fine. There are tons of planets where you can go with your 3D mind and good and bad and evil and whatnot, and live like that and do another 100,000 rounds on that if you want to, but I don't want. I'm very clear on that. I don't want suffering on this anymore. I'm not agreeing to that. No, I don't want. So that's the plan.
Well, I love your perspective, Angelica, and it's to me it's a very important one to question, things. And one of the things I've noticed with technology is there's this acceleration, and I wonder if it will get us to like I've said a lot on the show, we need to raise our spiritual maturity to meet these emergent technologies. Like we can't really get rid of them, but we need to approach them with a level of spiritual maturity that's allows us to at least have a higher standard. It's interesting though, I see your passion with human potential. And when I think of the era of love and peace, heaven on Mother Earth and all that, we don't need technologies, because technology, even the root word of technology, means idea. And all of these implements, these gadgets, I feel they're outward projections of innate abilities that we already have. Like you mentioned, like beam me up, Scotty, compared to being able to innately teleport. I think that it's just a fact of nature, and the Christ Letters talks about this too, that we're all psychic. So we don't really need telephones to call one another. I've been in circles where I've heard of what some of the old people could do. Like they could just guide their canoes on the water just by singing to the water, and it would take them. They didn't have to paddle. They could communicate through the fires. So I feel like we are in this experiment with these emergent technologies, and I agree with you. Like, to me, you could never, the importance is the soulful presence that is interacting with these things. And that's probably one of the most interesting things of where we've been brainwashed the most, is to not think that we are important. And I don't know if it's the institutionalization of quote education. To me, what you did with your daughter is very much education, because I love what you said. You're curious about what was in her that wanted to come out. I'm the same way with our daughter. We have no intention of having some kind of routine, like we'll teach her math, or she is so intrinsically motivated to learn everything. I feel like I would have to put effort into stopping her to learn, which is what happens in institutions. We're told sit down, don't move, put your hand up to ask a question, and so that to me is the machine that maybe made a lot of these other things. But I just want to say I thank you for your passion, and I feel like you are an original thinker and someone who questions the paradigm of the time, which is so important. And lastly, what you said about how important it is, I truly believe every loving thought, every loving action, even every loving feeling, it plants seeds of the era that you're talking about, Angelika, where there is no more suffering and we're in our radiance and all of the earth looks like Antarctica and we are in harmony with it. So we can interact with our environment, but we're not being disruptive. We're not causing any disharmony with it because we recognize our interconnection. So yeah, it's beautiful hearing your perspectives. On that note, what is your higher? I see you wanted to have something to say, so go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't want to the technology part. There may be technology for us humans that is not doing harm.
Mm-hmm.
It may be possible. I think if you connect to these beings that are using light chips or all kinds of that's also technology,
Mm-hmm.
and to especially when I spoke to the ocean on Drake's Passage, we need to clean it, and I don't know if it's only human capacity to do that, but maybe there is also technology that is doing no harm, because we know all these technologies that we are using now are not made by humans. They are made by other beings that have not human that are not acting in our best interest. They just want to, I don't know how we would say, harvest our energy, control, it's like you can see it. And in the beginning, you said something like, some people think of overpopulation and things like that. We a few years ago, I saw studies that says that we are producing food for more than 20 billion people each year. So, but we have only 9, and half of them are suffering of hunger. We are a planet of greed, and so is our technology. Everything is greed oriented. Greed, and I don't know all the words in English, lucky me. But
I hear you.
It's possible that we as soon as that big shift is it feels like then every thought, every conscious thought, every thought of love, every blessing can be the drop that brings the whole pot overfilled, and then the consciousness will just jump ahead, and everybody will like that. Yeah. I can think that can be maybe possible. So maybe then we get some kind of real cool technologies that are not harming anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm not anti-technology, or I am pro human and all life saving things, whatever technologies that is, so that's a difference to me. Because
it's a big difference.
Because I don't think we have that right now.
No.
We are not right now, technology, but it's already there. Many people know about that.
Yeah,
that
it exists within our potential.
We need to develop, and that's where we come back to our mission, yours and mine.
Well, I had a dream once. I don't know if it was an alternative timeline or another life. It was like this vision. I was meditating, and was I was in a world that all the technologies were totally harmonious. It was a totally different feeling of frequency. Things were either water powered or like there was no pollution. Everything was just in harmony with nature. And I feel like nature already shows us so many ways I mean, photosynthesis. I mean, plants are the most advanced beings on the planet, I would say. They create their own energy, and we have a symbiotic relationship with them. And yes, I do feel like there is a call, and there have been some inventors who have invented some pretty profound technologies, but it wasn't their time, let's just say, and they met the fate of that. But they're documented, and I think we know, you know, there's a remembrance that's happening in terms of like a lot of the scientific discoveries that we've had from inspired people like Walter Russell and Nikolai Tesla and people who pushed our expansiveness. And also, so much of what you said, Angelica, talks about that inner potential. We're so conditioned to look outwardly and like to revere, these people who do amazing things. But I think one of the most things that you said stands out the most to me is the soul. And really it's ineffable, infinite capacity for creativity and whatnot, but it all comes down to love. And that's the key ingredient. And that's been my own direct experience. And I think it's fundamental in any endeavor that we take on. So I really appreciate you being a voice for that and reminding us of the power of the choices that we make. And on a minute to minute basis, it's true. Are we thinking of I could get off this podcast and go and, have critical thoughts towards my neighbor. And then it's like, I'm not being honoring of the love that I came from. And we are all, I love what you said. We're developing Christ consciousness. I mean, that to me, I couldn't put it any more succinctly than that. I feel like that is our destiny, the highest expression of ourselves, it's been demonstrated in history what is possible when we are in alignment with the soul fully and wholly. And I think it's beyond anything that we can imagine at this point. So, Angelica, it is getting close to time where I have to get off. So I'm wondering a couple things. Can you tell our listeners where people can follow you or where they can connect with you? So if they're feeling inclined to do some soulful business growth, development work and alignment work, what's the best way of connecting with you?
Well, okay. Let me so that I don't forget. I had a meditation. I did a meditation where I asked where will we go to, and the knowing that came to me was I saw the lions and the zebras and they were not eating each other. Whenever I mentioned picture and that clear knowing, people ask themselves, but what do they eat then? And maybe I don't know, maybe light. I have no idea. I just know we are going there. And when somebody would like to just connect or learn or know more about what I'm doing, I have two school communities. I actually three, but the other one I need to I need to quit. That one was a test. One is for my clients only. That's business. It's Goldquelle, like gold as gold, and Quelle like source, because the gold within becomes the gold outside. And this piece of I just layered it different. So I have this kind of 7-day, 3-day trial where I want to do a $9 plan for the big mass of people who just want to take a look, where I would like to teach 9 60-second solutions. The 60-second solution part of my work is I always focused on the most tiny little thing that has the most huge effect one's life. So, for example, one 60-second solution is like just centering yourself, like settling in, settling down. Take 1 minute and just connect with yourself again.
Yeah.
Which 60-second solution, very profound. Or, for example, requests, something you can do before a, for example, difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Things like that. I just did it yesterday, so it's not like ready with all the 60-second solutions, but I work there in German and English. I decided to do both. But I was always struggling to, German or English, why not both? So I just decided, let's do both. And from there, I have these two levels. You can reach your goal of doing more conscious work in your business or doing your normal daily business, because I'm not working with online entrepreneurs. My people are a real estate man or a carpenter or a tailor. The people who are doing so to speak, real handwork.
Okay.
Most of them, not just, but they are also service based, but most have just make nature pools, for example.
Okay.
Things like that. So that's like you can reach your goal being more connected to your soul plan with by feet, which is the 60-second solution, $9 thing. Then the next can be like with the bike. So that's a kind of 11K a year thing, where you get a weekly call with me personally, so and that training, 12 weeks training, video training, things like that. And then the most advanced is the plane, for those who really want to do intense work. For them, it special exercises just for them and their soul plan and their thing and their process that they have to do. That's the 33K a year thing. So that's the advanced. I do that only in German so far. That's not an offer for English speaking, because I'm just not capable of doing like that intense work in English so far. And then I have this like dream come true group, which will change also, and I think it will go more into like finding those places on this planet where consciousness is already high, where they're really sustainable and not just fake sustainable to catch people in to their business or their whatever restaurant or hotel or whatever they have. So I would like to search their places, and it will be more in that direction. So I really want to find that places where it's already different.
That's beautiful.
And you spoke about Christ consciousness. I would like to mention that young woman, which I told you in your marathon, when I looked into her eyes and it was pure Christ consciousness looking at me, it was one of the most profound experiences I ever in my life, beside being with my mom when she passed into the light. But having seen that, I could not stand it. I had to put my away. And I hope that on my next steps, I will be able to develop more on that in myself and help my clients and the people that are on my way, if they want to do more on that. So that's really what I would like to do.
That's
and
beautiful,
what
Angelika.
About. And if somebody listens that speaks German, I have a small YouTube channel where it's also Goldquelle, like the German name of my Generative Quantum Consulting LP business, which is based in Toronto, Canada. They can check out the YouTube channel. So maybe I change it also to German and English. I don't know. Let's see. It's my new start, my horse year.
Fire horse year. That's wonderful, Angelika. I mean, you shared so much. I really appreciate your presence and your gifts. And I don't know if I don't know if I told you this, but if you ever are interested in reading the Christ letters, they have been translated into German. So he says that they are a direct bridge between his consciousness and ours. So maybe that might be an interesting tool at some point. If you ever feel inclined, I'm happy to share them with you. And I have this one last question for you. I love asking our inspiring guests, if you had a megaphone and you could talk to the whole world and everyone could hear you, what message would you like to share?
We are one.
Hmm. Beautiful. Says it all. I really appreciate you, Angelika. Blessings to you and all those you touch. Safe travels back to Europe. And really pleasure having you on the show. Unless there's anything else you'd like to share, I'm going to invite Luciana to come up and thank everyone for watching.
I love to see Luciana one more time.
Okay.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work you are doing, Nathaniel. And whenever I jump into Goosify, I miss you because it was so much. I did not know that I can be, that I even have humor, and that I can be funny. And especially Rosita always said, "You are the funniest of them all." Being in that melancholical, deep state, like on 5% of my my usual being, having you as company there it meant so much to me. So I really want to thank you for that time you spent there and that exchanges we had, and I hope that we one day can really hug us in real life, which is still the more important
Of
part.
course. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Of being
And yes,
human.
I agree. And I look forward to hugging the hug as well. And you can always tag me. I'll bounce in. Part of this problem I'm looking to solve on school is just community overwhelm. There's so many things, and I'm interested in the interconnection of communities. So you can always tag
Yeah.
me. I'll bounce in there.
Yeah. After being the Goosify goat, being on the leaderboard one for a couple of times, I handed over the scepter to Gunther, which was happy to get it. I'm looking forward to be in different communities more, because I just, Goosify is, it's still fun to jump in, and I have some people there which I like to give a like from time to time or add a thought, but I will focus on my communities and on communities like yours, because that's it was a test. I had to find how it feels like to be a member there, and it helped me a lot. But now is a different.
Well, we need more comedy in Lightheart Vision, Darth Vader. So.
Oh yeah.
For watching.
Thank watching.
Say have a great day.
Have a great day.
I love you.
I love you.
See you soon.
Soon.
Hey, bye. Nacho. Mwah. Woo!